Hello, everyone, and hello, Mariya.
Hello.
It's great to see you as always. I would like to welcome everyone to How to Become a Thriving Human series with Mariya. And we have a lot of great conversation ahead and a great set of topics and what have you. Ever so briefly, this series is really focusing on how to become a thriving human, and we're going to explore different practical techniques and strategies and all sorts of great stuff that's coming ahead. We've got a number of events set up. Today is going to be Becoming Resilient and Thriving. We're going to get into the 5 C's, and Mariya will guide us as to how to approach our New Year's resolutions. We'll talk about the heart of success. I can't wait in some of these topics. It'll be fantastic. The anxiety roller coaster is another one. And by all means, time management and becoming most productive. Before I hand it off to Mariya, I would like to just offer a brief background. An international keynote speaker, 2 times TEDx speaker, likewise, a thought leader on intentional adaptability, so tremendous breadth already, human potential, and how to thrive as a human being. Mariya, welcome, and we are putty in your hands.
Uh, Thank you so much for having me. I'm absolutely delighted to be here and to have this conversation. And of course, how to thrive as a human being, how to not just merely survive, but how to thrive as a human being in the modern world is a very hot topic.
Most definitely, most definitely. So where do we start, Mariya? How do we approach the topic? Please guide us.
I think the main thing to understand is that how to thrive as a human being is a puzzle. And it's becoming more and more complex because the world we're living, our lives becoming more and more fast-paced and unpredictable and stressful. In fact, a lot of experts highlight that these days, in one day, we get more stress than our ancestors in their entire lifespan. And
Hmm.
of course, our brain, our body are not ready for that. So we need to take matters in our hands and become intentional with becoming happier and healthier and thriving. And just keep in mind that it is a puzzle. It doesn't just come to one thing, but it's a array of different things that we need to take care of in order to transform ourselves and take ourselves to the next level and fully enjoy our life.
Excellent. And if we think about it as a puzzle, Mariya, from your vantage point, are there ebbs and flows relative to the complexity and where we find ourselves, or is it respectfully, truly just increasing complexity?
The complexity of it is increasing because we're getting more different stresses coming into our life. Even if we think about what was happening 20 years ago, for instance, 20 years ago, I did not have a mobile phone.
Hmm.
There was no social media. Food that I ate was a lot healthier. So a lot of things there wasn't as many Wi-Fi signals and Bluetooth signals and all those invisible threats that we're experiencing at the moment. Our air, our oceans, our water were not as polluted as they are nowadays. And of course, the way they create advertisements, the way they shoot TV shows and movies, and the way they put together news, they make it on purpose more stressful. So just to get our attention. So we're getting those new types of stress coming into our life, and we'll talk more about it when we discuss the anxiety roller coaster and
Yeah.
how to get off of it. Anxiety, in particular, is one of the things that I suffered through most of my life. And yeah, there's just the stresses that we experience and have to deal with. The number of it increases and the intensity of it increases. So we have to cope with those things, deal with those things. And as a result, that thriving puzzle is becoming more and more complicated.
Excellent. So excellent segue to really how do we approach it, Maria? I mean, what's the guidance? Where do we start, if you will? How do we approach this?
Yeah. There's so many advertisements at the moment of different experts and coaches advertising their programs and trainings and advice and mentorship and so on and so forth. And I see this quote popping up constantly that I don't agree with. So the quote is, mindset is everything. and I strongly disagree with it.
Hmm.
Mindset is not everything. Of course, it's very, very, very important. In particular, whenever I feel sorry for myself, and I
Yeah.
do, time to time, we all feel sorry for ourselves.
Yeah.
And I feel sorry for myself because for such a long time I haven't been on stage and I really miss speaking, and I haven't gone to live networking events, and I love networking face to face, and I haven't been able to see my friends as often as possible. So of course I do feel sorry for myself here and there. But every time I do, I remember Nelson Mandela. Nelson Mandela was in prison for 27 years. And although last few years were more humane, he had more humane conditions. His first 18 years were incredibly difficult. So, in particular, he was in a concrete cell, sleeping on a straw mat, and the cell was basically 2 by 2 meters, just a little bit larger than 2 by 2 meters. And through the day, he had to do very difficult labor, and it even resulted in him damaging his eyesight in
Mm.
particular. It was a lot of other things. Like if you look into his autobiography at the conditions that he spent in his first 18 years, they are it's easy to give up. And basically, when he came first to that place, the very first thing that he heard from people meeting him, from the guards meeting him, is this is where he's gonna die. So imagine all those conditions around him. But when he was asked later on in one of the interviews, how did he make it through? Did he survive? He actually, how did he thrive in those conditions? Because he was also at the nighttime, he was studying law and he was helping other people. So he was doing a lot of work. And he replied that he perceived that time of imprisonment as a long vacation. This is what he was telling himself, that he was on a long vacation. This is how powerful mindset is. So it's very, very important to work on our mindset and keep building our mindset. And this is a fantastic, probably the best starting point if we want to start transforming our life, is to focus on building our growth mindset. But mindset is not everything. I would like to highlight that there are many other pieces to the puzzle. For example, currently I'm reading this book, Think Like a Monk by
Hmm.
Amazing Jay Shetty. And the book is predominantly about how to build growth mindset. So about his life and how he learned about growth mindset. And one of the parts of the book is about his life with monks. And as I'm reading this part, I'm realizing that, we have this perception about monks, and who better than monks is an example of a person with a growth mindset.
Hmm.
Monks is the best example.
Yep.
But when we look at their lives, they don't just meditate and they have so many things going on through their day. So in particular, they practice fasting on a daily basis. So they usually fast for at least 18 hours. They do a lot of work for others. They do teaching, volunteer work. They don't junk food like
Hmm.
products. They cook everything from scratch, which is very important. And when they cook, they don't use non-stick Teflon coated frying pans.
Yeah.
When they eat, they usually eat together. All those things, they very, very important, like eating together and being in nature, spending a lot of time in the sunlight. These are all elements that help them to enjoy life fully.
Hmm.
It's not just about mindset, it's not just feeling at peace, but a lot of other things that come together and accumulate together into life that is enjoyable and fulfilled. And
Very well.
even if we look at, sorry.
I'm sorry. No, I was going to say very, very well expressed. I love the conversation around monks and the dynamics and the dimensions with which they approach their life. Yeah.
Yeah,
Please go on.
there's
Forgive me,
there's just
Maria.
there's just so many elements to thriving, not just meditation, not just growth mindset, but just a lot of other elements. And in particular, even if we look at Jay Shetty's life now, he's become a very successful influencer, a very successful public figure. So he and other public figures like him who are truly healthy, happy, and thriving, not
Hmm.
those who pretend to be, but those who, like him, are actually happy, healthy, and thriving. They do a lot of things to take care of themselves. They don't rise and grind, which is another misconception that I'm looking forward to discussing in the future. They don't just rise and grind. They take really proper care of themselves, of their health and their relationships. They have date nights with their life partners. They work on their relationships with their family members. They exercise. They watch what they eat. They go on vacation. They have hobbies. They take walks. They do yoga. They meditate. So there's a lot of components as well. We can see that it's not just about mindset, but a lot of other things that come together when we want to create this thriving, happy, healthy life.
Excellent. Excellent. So what are, if as I listen to you, I definitely hear there's a physical component, there's an emotional component, there's a mental component. Help us understand kind of, what should we do to thrive?
The main thing is to build our resilience, to work on how resilient we are, to keep improving our level of resilience. It seems that we tend to think that happiness is the solution, but actually it's not. It's a byproduct. If we increase our resilience, happiness comes naturally. So that's the resilience that is the solution to every problem in our life, in our personal life. And this is what we need to focus on, work on. And the way I talk about it is that start building for yourself a three-legged chair of resilience.
Tell us more, Mariya. Tell us more, please. Yeah. So what are the three legs?
3 legs, yeah. Just imagine yourself sitting on a beach and on a chair. And of course, some days the ocean is beautiful. It's very calm and the sky is blue and the water is with beautiful color. There is no waves, so very small waves. And we just sit there and enjoy ourselves. But there are also days when, it's a very stormy weather. There's clouds and rain and waves keep splashing. So if we get splashed, if our chair is not strong enough, then we'll just get knocked off. We'll fall off that chair. So our main goal is to build such a strong and sturdy chair that whatever happens, it doesn't affect us much, that we can resist it, that we can withstand it or bounce back very quickly. This is the secret, that we can't control what is happening to us. We can't keep complaining about circumstances. The main point is how we perceive things. And you probably have heard this, that it's only 10% of what happens to us, and it's 90% how we perceive it. So
Yes.
that has to do with the resilience, and we need to build a strong, sturdy chair. And in order to do that, we need to work on all 3 legs.
Excellent.
So would you like to have a chat about 3 legs? Would you like to
most
guess what they
definitely.
are?
Most definitely. I'm eager for you to elaborate. By all means, please do. If you look at the 3 legs, let's start with, what do you think is the most important leg to really kind of, and I know you said we need to focus on all 3, but which one comes to mind immediately that we should keep top of mind for us?
Well, so if we look at the three-legged chair, we should see that there are 2 legs at the front that are less important, and there is 1 leg at the back, which is the most important. And it is something that I was getting wrong through my entire life. I was working just on 1 leg, and it was a wrong leg.
Okay.
I didn't work on all 3. So that leg at the back is the most important one, and it's our health, our physical and mental health. And I don't see it as 2 different legs because they are so intertwined, and we need to pay attention to both of them at the same time. It pains me to see how a lot of experts separate them.
Mhm.
It shouldn't be like that. They're so close, they're so intertwined, they keep affecting each other. So we need to work on both of them simultaneously.
Excellent.
So that's the most important, our health.
Excellent.
Yeah. I learned it a hard way when a few years ago I had a major burnout, and it was really bad. I talk about it in my second TEDx talk, and I described it as being burnt into ashes.
Wow.
I was in constant pain for a decade all over my body, and just got to the point where some days I couldn't get out of my bed. And I had to make coffee the night before to put on the stand by my bed so I could drink it the first time and the first thing in the morning in order for me to actually kind of roll out of bed, not even get up. but
Wow.
roll out. And speaking of that, drinking coffee first thing in the morning is a huge no. Please don't do that.
Okay. So, and,
We
and
should be
you know,
drinking
and you
coffee
know,
for at least
and
a
you know,
couple of hours.
and you know how much I love coffee. So definitely, a lot for me to learn. By all means, yes, yes,
I love coffee too.
yeah,
And it's also a very interesting conversation whether coffee is friend or foe. And I'm also hoping we'll discuss it in the future, maybe when
yeah,
we talk about anxiety again or
yes.
productivity. But yes, we shouldn't be drinking coffee the first thing in the morning for different reasons. But this is what I had to do. I had to have a very strong coffee by my bed in order to, get caffeinated and then to have some energy to get out. And this is when I realized that, it doesn't matter whether you have a great mindset. It doesn't matter if you have incredibly important goals. It doesn't matter how inspired you are about your mission and vision. It doesn't matter how skilled you are. It doesn't matter how much money or how many resources you have. It doesn't matter how many people support you. If you don't have health,
Hmm.
if you don't have energy, you're not going to get much done. This
Yeah,
is why it's so important, is to take care of yourself first. And if you do, then you will be able to take care of things that you want to complete and to take care of other people and so on. So health is the most important.
it almost. And as I listen to you describe it, it's almost the key skeleton, if you will, that keeps us whole. That leg that is core to the stool, if you will. How about the other two legs? Which leg next?
So the second leg is our relationships, rather the quality of our relationships, not just the quantity, but the quality of our relationships. That's our second leg. It's very, very important. And we need to understand that we have to be considerate about who we spend our time with, and also understand that relationships don't just happen magically. It
Hmm.
is something that we need to construct. It's something that we need to keep building with another person. It doesn't matter who they are, whether it's a romantic interest, whether it's a parent or your child or your friend or your work colleague. It doesn't matter who that person is. Every relationship requires effort, continuous effort, in order to grow and to gain strength and to gain depth. So that's the second leg, the quality of our relationships. And there was, by the way, a really great TEDx talk about study that was done for 75 years, where they followed quite a lot of people, and they were trying to figure out what is key to happiness. So the conclusion was that one of the main keys to happiness is the quality of our relationships with other people. And it's also an incredible topic for
Yeah,
many, many reasons. But we need to remember that the second leg that we need to work on at the same time is relationships with people around us.
excellent, excellent. And the third leg?
Yeah, that's the least important one, but the one that I was paying all my attention to for nearly 3 decades. And this is the area that a lot of people just like me, as I used to think, they think now that this is what they need to give main focus to. So, our third leg, the least important one, is our professional fulfillment, growth, success. It is important. I don't want to dismiss its importance. It's very important to work on that leg as well, but it's not the main priority when we're building our chair. And we'll have different conversations about in the future, within the next few weeks. We'll have different conversations about skills like goal setting and skill of confidence and a few other skills and productivity to help us to build that professional leg.
Excellent, excellent. So two questions come to mind, if you will, Mariya. Why One question, if you will, is why is it so often, exactly as you mentioned, people separate physical and mental? And I use the word health and organizational health, etc. But why do you think people split those two so readily versus truly treating it as health, the way that you've described it eloquently?
Because when we offer training about something or talk about something or write a book about something, we highlight what the pain point is. And it requires a lot of in depth research to find out what are all the causes or the majority of causes for that pain point to occur. So I think it has to do a lot with lack research and how much time people dedicate to finding out what are the actual causes of a particular problem. whether it's lack of energy or lack of productivity, or whether it's anxiety or depression, or people not being able to collaborate,
Yeah.
whatever those things are, the information, the causes for that problem, there's like a vast field of them. But experts choose to talk just about particular things, and it's good because we need to have both those people who
Hmm.
connect the dots through different areas and those who talk on particular points. So if we work together, if
Yeah.
for example I join points together and I help a person to build the foundation, the fundamentals, to understand the principles of how to thrive as a human being, then that person, if they realize that certain areas need more work, they can go to a narrow specialist and learn more about that particular thing, like for example nutrition, or how to exercise, or how to sleep properly,
Yeah. Yeah.
which
Yeah.
is probably my favorite topic, or one of my favorite topics. um,
Definitely. So it sounds like it's
or how
just part of
to
the. I'm sorry. Please go on, Maria.
I was just giving examples. So maybe
Yeah.
if a person needs to improve their empathy, or communication skills, or body language, things like that, because we're all very, very different. The
Yeah.
puzzle is the same in terms of the pieces in the puzzle. They're all the same for all of us because we are human beings, and we have the same needs as
Yeah.
everyone else. But it's just for some people, needs are a bit more different than for others. Let's say, for example, I'm sure you heard of five love languages.
Hmm.
That there are five different ways how we feel cared for. So, for example, one of the love languages is physical touch. It's like
Yeah.
kissing, hugging, holding hands. Another love language is, for example, getting gifts.
Hmm.
So for one person, maybe a hug would be the best way to support them, but for a different person, it would be maybe giving a gift would be the best way to support them. So there are a few more other
Yeah.
languages, and it's a really great topic to talk about and to learn about. So the needs are the same, but just it varies for different people. So maybe someone has to uh, um, pay more attention to what they eat
Hmm.
and work more on that area than others. But maybe another person needs to work on their growth mindset. And that's the most important piece of the puzzle that was missing or is not complete in their puzzle. And this is what they need to address.
Well said.
So
Well
it's
said.
important to understand that the fundamentals are the same, but
Yeah.
just for different people, those pieces have different way. Let's put it this way.
Yeah, yeah, and definitively, as they're, if you will, getting into the details, really, I'll say levels of abstraction and detail. Whether you're looking at whether you're looking at physical and mental, or really treating it as health. I think it's very powerful to treat as a unit. Health is extremely powerful. The other question that comes to mind as you talk about the legs is there is so much. I'll say, and I'm going to my word, if you will, so I'll use it in this way. There's so much conditioning that we experience to focus professionally, right? And we associate our meaning and identity to our profession. Any thoughts as to? I know you reached a tipping point, right, where you woke up and but preferably, right, we don't want to get to that point. Any guidance as to avoid that tipping point, but wake up?
To listen to more conversations like that, to read books like Jay Shetty's book, to there's so many interesting podcasts, in particular on YouTube at the moment. So just to follow those resources and study those resources that are available to us now. Because what happened in my case was that for many, many years, I didn't have access to this information. I didn't know that life could have been lived differently, that just grinding and being busy wasn't the way we're actually meant to live, especially
Hmm.
nowadays,
Yeah.
especially in the Western world. So only when I started getting access to information, and funny thing for me, it started with seeing quotes on Facebook.
Yeah.
I started seeing different quotes on Facebook, and this is where it started to occurring to me that, hang on, maybe the way I'm living my life is not the right way. Because when I look at those quotes and when I look at those posts, they all make sense to me. It's like as if I felt them in my gut, but I just didn't understand what it was. So I started digging deeper. I started looking for mentors. I started reading books. I started watching TEDx talks and different podcasts. And now we have such a huge abundance of information. All we need to do is just tap into it. So I think this is the way to begin.
Yeah, I think it's very powerful because exactly to your point, a quote, simply, respectfully, a quote can be a trigger to wake someone up to begin to really explore. So I think you asked the perfect question. Where do we begin?
Well, so when we build that three-legged chair of resilience, I am convinced that we should start with sleep. This is where it all starts, that sleep is the most important thing that we can do for ourselves, for our health, both physically and mentally. And when I had my burnt out and I needed to climb out of that hole, when I needed to pull myself together from those ashes that I was burnt into, it was sleep. It was learning how to sleep was the first thing that I had to do in order to start my recovery. I was severely sleep deprived and that was the main reason why I did burn out in the first place, because I was severely sleep deprived. I slept maybe like 3-4 hours a night for
Hmm.
over 2 decades. And I started grinding since I was 5 years old. So how to sleep, how to get proper sleep, and how many hours of sleep, that was the first thing that I need to study and to learn when I decided, okay, it's time to recover. I really need to start recovering, because it's not that I hit the rock bottom. I fell into the basement of the rock bottom. That's how it felt.
Wow.
So it is so important. Sleep is more important than nutrition and exercise put together. And I'm saying this because once again, we tend to think that when we want to improve our health, that the very first thing that we need to do is go to gym
Hmm.
or do some other sort of exercising. So once again, that conditioning that is there, that misconception that exercising equals health. Yes, exercising is very, very important. But as I said, sleep is more important than nutrition and exercise put together. And when I decided that I would like to write series of ebooks on topics that I believe should be taught, on the topics that I wish I learned sooner, I knew that sleep had to be the very first chapter in my series. This is how important it is.
Wow. So very much foundational to your point in terms of really being a thriving human and becoming a thriving human.
And if we're going back to mindset, to growth mindset, there is so much buzz about neuroplasticity.
Hmm.
It's very exciting that we finally found out that at 25, our brain doesn't stop from
Yeah.
growing. That actually we can experience neuroplasticity through our entire life if we want to, if we're intentional about it. So there's so much buzz about it, but I think I heard only one person saying that neuroplasticity occurs either during deep rest or during slow wave deep sleep.
Hmm. Wow.
So if you want to work on your
Yeah.
growth mindset instead of physical health, once again, sleep is the most important thing that you can do for yourself.
Fantastic. Fantastic. And I know we're coming up on time, and I know we've got a number of sessions coming up. Any other thoughts to close out for this session, Mariya?
Yes, start building your three-legged chair, and you will see how much your life will improve. And please make sure that you work on all three legs, that you don't just focus on your professional growth. We will talk about all three areas of our life, but just make sure that you work on all three areas on all three legs. And if you thinking and wondering where to begin, the health leg is the most important one. And in order to start working on that leg, address your sleep. Make sure that you're getting enough of hours and that you're getting proper quality of sleep. And in a few weeks, my first ebook will be out. So as I said, first chapter is about how to sleep properly. There's a lot of actually insights about how to improve your sleep. So I'm hoping that you will be able to take a look at that as well. But at this point in time, start getting enough of hours of sleep and do your best to improve the quality of your sleep.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Mariya. And this is the first, of course, session in the series on how to become a thriving human. I absolutely love how you weaved it all together there at the end for us to really, take away from the session. So thank you everyone for joining us. Thank you, Mariya, and we'll look forward to the next in the series.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm really looking forward to continue our conversations.
A pleasure. Thank you so much, Maria.